What's up, guys? All right, we're going to take a look at Aaron Judge's swing from a good angle. This was sent to me by one of the members of my channel. By the way, you can join my channel now. Just click on the join button on my channel homepage. So, let me just. So this video is going to be basically about what I disagree with in the Richard Schenck model of the swing. And let me just explain that first before we get into really the main issue I believe is the problem. Let me just try to convey the understanding of where we're headed in swing instruction. I think Richard Schenck is a step in the evolution of swing instruction. What many people may not know is back in 2001, what was being taught was, what came up as a new and kind of going against the grain kind of teaching was this movement called rotational hitting. And to my mind, it was a step towards better in swing instruction. It was like a small step. And Richard Schenck has come and also provided a small step. But I think that in the evolution of anything, there are fits and spurts. If you even study the evolution of human beings, it's called punctuated equilibrium. So for the most part, things are pretty steady, and then there's a drastic sort of a paradigm shift that changes everything and brings it all up to another level. I think that's where we're headed in swing instruction. And the only reason why I would believe that is because I've looked so deeply into the swing. And I believe I'm seeing something that's more true than what's being taught today. And what's more true is always eventually figured out. The way I see it is once people start to see this more true way that I'm seeing, it'll really shift everything. The implications, I think, are pretty big, because what I think that I've stumbled upon is really the true difference mechanically that the better pound for pound hitters are tending to show. And obviously in swing instruction, we have to eventually go to a feeling. It's all about eventually turning everything into a feeling. And look, I mean, everyone is getting on me about, they say I'm jealous of Schenck but I'm after his position. I'm not ashamed to say that. And I also have a lot of good things to say about him. Like I said, I think he's a step in the right direction. I just feel like, he's had about 3 years to show what he's got. I'm getting a lot of people coming to me saying it didn't work for me. There's no proof that it has worked at the major league level, even though people say, look at Aaron Judge, but where are the other examples? I mean, I'm getting certain other examples, and it's like still unclear as to whether there was any real change going on. I mean, Kerry Carpenter was basically the same hitter that he was throughout his career. If you look at his, minor league and college stats. You look at Ian Happ, he didn't improve. You have Scott Kingery, he's a very famous student of Richard Schenck. He's, I believe, out of baseball maybe. I don't know. I'd love to work with him. Scott, if you're out there, give me a call. Contact me. The Swing Mechanic. Pretty much everywhere. But look, I commend Schenck in many ways, but the bottom line is I mean, I was doing this before he was, and I'm younger than he is. In 2001, I started working with pros. when I was just 25 years old. And before that, I was, you know, that's when I first really started working with people. But before that, I mean, I consider probably a good portion of my studying of the swing happened even before I was working with guys. Obviously, I wouldn't work with guys if I wasn't, you know, if I didn't have something to offer. So I've been at this a long time. A lot of people say, you know, they think I'm just a geek behind a desk, and I am. But I did play 2 Division I sports. I was all conference at baseball. I'm not athletically gifted in any way. I'm not trying to, you know, show my athletic prowess. But just I've always been kind of a hard worker, but I never really liked to perform, to be honest with you. I liked to practice. And so I was always trying to figure out what's the best optimal way to practice. To me, practice is like most of the fun. And so that is kind of my performance. Performance is honestly, they were a little too anxiety producing and a little too, honestly, I just like to practice. I like to be alone and practice and try to figure out movement. And performance was not really what I was best at. But anyways, I'm getting off a topic. I think what Richard Schenck has done is good. I think I've beat that horse. I think it's also pretty impressive, like I've said many times, that he noticed the flattening of the barrel. There are more and more people coming on board noticing the flattening of the barrel. And slowly the narrative will change. I mean, I've been observing swing instruction for long enough to know that they're not going to come out and say, I was wrong. And from one day to the next, they're teaching one thing, and the next day they're teaching another thing. What's going to happen is they're slowly going to say, well, it's all relative. Some hitters will do well with this swing and some with this swing. And then they're just slowly going to move towards more of this body-controlled, front arm dominant understanding of the swing. Like I said, because it's more true. So let me explain. Let me just finish that off by saying I see that swing instruction is headed somewhere where the game really changes. And I think that's going to happen when we start to see regular size guys make big improvements quickly. And I mean obvious, noticeable improvements. We're not talking a guy 6'8" who's already a home run hitter and just hitting a ridiculous amount of home runs. You know, he may have hit that many home runs without instruction. It's very possible. He's literally, I mean, think about Barry Bonds. What really made him unbelievable, and he had the 3 best years of all time of a hitter. What really put him over that edge was obviously the 40 pounds of muscle he gained. Well, he was 240 at tops. This guy is more than 40 pounds heavier than Barry Bonds, and he's lean and strong. That is a huge difference. And like I said, he's the largest guy to ever step into a batter's box. Can I get another example of a hitter who proves that a swing theory is right or true or more true? Can I just get, in fact, what I envision is I want to work with a guy who is literally a small guy who's hitting somewhere around a home run every 100 to 130 at bats. And he goes to hitting somewhere around 1 home run every 30 at bats. Somewhere around there. That kind of change is what I'm looking to engender in professional baseball. And that's what I'm moving towards. That's what I'm looking to do, because I know that that's what it's going to take to show people that this is at least a more true approach to the swing than anything else out there. And I want to thank you guys, everyone out there supporting me in large ways, like joining my channel or, buying my books, or small ways like thumbs up, subscribing to this video. So thank you guys out there for going on this journey with me. I think it's going to be a fun time to see literally a revolution in swing instruction, and to show people, ultimately it'll show people how much the realm of swing mechanics is capable of. Because right now, there's a lot of lost trust in it. People are kind of used to going to this guy and then going to this guy, and it's hard to tell if things are working. They work for a little bit, and then, it's not. And this is why swing coaches now are just grabbing little things from everybody. There's no real theory. And this is another good thing about Richard Schenck. He at least has his own contained theory. It's not pulling from a bunch of different guys. He's the only other one that I see who has a succinct theory. And there are many things I commend about him. Anyways, let's talk about the one problem that I see in his approach. Here we have Judge from behind. And you can see, watch as he starts forward. There's very little hand movement in general. But where the big difference is right here. He goes, there's no hand depth. As I've said before, it's like they're skipping a link in the chain. And the hands stay pretty much in front of the chest. So what's going to happen is you're actually pushing out the location that you're making contact to be farther out in front, because you're never getting hand depth. And the only thing they're going to do from here is go out farther out in front. You can see he's well disconnected at contact. What I'd like to see is the hands getting deep here. And it doesn't really even look like he's feeling a snap. He's probably feeling it about right here. But what I'd like to see is the hands get deep and the barrel drops slowly on a flatter plane. And then as he starts forward, then it drops even more. And sometimes, like if you look at pictures of, I saw one recently of Hank Aaron at this point in the swing. The barrel was literally below his hands. So to me, Aaron Judge is not getting enough drop of the barrel, and he's not getting enough hand depth. This is all stuff you feel naturally if you just do the front arm progression and hang out in that first step. That's probably the biggest piece of advice. I think we're so, I don't even want to say impatient, because this will work faster than anything, but we're so we're moving too quickly sometimes. And I think with the first step, take your time. The first step of the front arm progression. Swinging with just your front arm. Take some time. Because if he was swinging with just his front arm here, and he was really going to hit the ball hard, you would see much more hand depth. His hand would probably be somewhere left of the Nike sign on his jersey. And the barrel would drop flat as he's doing this. And you can also see he's hanging back, which this is another trait of today's swing that I think is a mistake. And actually something that I don't think Richard Schenck really needed to cling on to in order to say give the advice that he gives. For some reason, he attached his theory to this hanging back on the back leg. And it doesn't allow the hitter to, obviously, you're not getting as much power into it. If you guys don't see that, just take a look at someone on video, either hanging back on the back leg and swinging, or shifting some weight into the hit. A lot of the hitters, the best pound for pound hitters, clearly put their body weight into the hit. I mean, they almost through contact were thrusting and pushing in a way into the hit. Obviously, at contact, you're not moving forward. So much energy is going forward. But they stood integral through contact. They didn't lean back. Well, if you start back on the back foot, you're kind of starting to lean back anyways, and you can see his head moves backwards as he's going through contact. You don't have any weight behind the forward swing. So as you push forward, it's going to be pushing back on you, and you're not going to have that weight behind it. I think that's a big mistake. I don't think Richard Schenck needed to attach his theory to that. He could have said do all these things that he feels in the top without having said that. And I think that a lot of what he says in the top portion of the swing is actually pretty good. You know, at least he's getting the hitter to feel this flattening of the barrel. It's happening late. As you can see, it's happening late. I mean, look at when the barrel's flattening out. His hands are in the zone. He's almost at contact. And he's not prepared to use his body through the hit. And look at his body is not involved in the hit. It's moving backwards. Just look at Hank Aaron in this same situation. He's thrusting into the hit. So if you look at which hand tends to produce what action, and this is the reason for the front arm progression, is if you look on the right, the front arm tends to want to get into the right positions. This on the right is what we tend to see from the better pound for pound hitters. We tend to see an early flattening of the barrel and more of the body taking control. Look how closed the body is. Why? On the right. Why? Because it's getting ready to actually be used in a twisting fashion. This was the reason for the rotational hitting movement. It's like the evolution of swing instruction. They're moving closer towards truth, but they don't exactly hit the nail on the head. And as we move forward, I think we'll more and more hone in on really what is going on. But rotational hitting movement in 2000 was really saying kind of the right thing. They just weren't specific enough. Look at on the right. I'm getting ready to rotate through the hit. It's more of a rotation. On the left, you're seeing what the back arm tends to want to do. So all you have to do is do the front arm progression, swing with just your front arm, and stay on that step for a little while. And you'll feel more of the movement you need to do. And it's funny because I think, you know, a lot of people are taking my stuff like, oh yeah, I'll incorporate his understanding into what I'm already doing. And I think that you almost have to go all in, because there's so much out there that goes against this. If you do everything else that's out there, you're going to still be in that same swing structure and the same paradigm, basically, of what is believed to be correct. I need you to just step outside of everything you've been taught and literally just go to your front arm swings, hitting the ball with as much force as you can, and forget everything else. Because that way you're going to move towards a better swing structure. And we'll tighten it up if you want to tighten it up later. I mean, but that's going to be no problem. And there's probably not much you need to do. The only thing you really need to do is learn how to secondary cushion, wait on off-speed pitches. But for the most part, I mean, everything is going to be exactly how you need to do it if you just swing with your front arm. But so many people are they're being distracted by everything else that's out there. So lately, my big kind of understanding that I want to convey is, along with the front arm progression, eliminate other stuff. Don't be fooled by distraction. Don't feel like it can't be that simple. I need to at least be diligent in working on all these other things. I don't think that that's what you need to do. I think what you need to do is actually commit 100% to this little, basically a doorway into a completely new swing. So swing with just your front arm. Feel what that structure feels like, and stop getting distracted. Focus on that, on how you need to move to hit the ball with the most force with just your front arm. So don't forget, guys, thank you again for your support. Go to theswingmechanic.com. You can get my new book, Swing Like Griffey. And don't forget to join the channel. $15 a month. You can see the full baseball swing course that I have. And I also do members-only videos. So thank you, guys, and I'll see you next time.